The formidable Ronin had at least an hour until his next scheduled duel. He walked proudly around the area that the Major had allowed for candidates. The fortified palace was marvelous to behold. Above and around the perimeter, the illusion of the great mountain that kept the society hidden was grand and imposing. Chiyomo was beginning to become impatient. He decided that since the quality of his opponents would probably rise, that he should prepare more thoroughly for his next match. He wandered over to the least popular corner of one of the courtyards that adjoined the fighting arena. Once there, he entered the code to open his woven utopium haversack. It beeped in recognition of the correct sequence of 8 symbols, temporarily disabling the small implosive charge in the clip. Chiyomo reached inside and withdrew a small jet syringe of light blue fluid. Yaras, a chemist associate of his, only distilled light blue speed every now and then because of its prohibitive cost. This was the Rouge swordsman's second-last injection. The chemical mixture of amphetamine and metabolic accelerant did not have to be administered intravenously, but Chiyomo always injected into the back of his calf. He had a specially made hatch in his greaves for this purpose. "Oh, Yaras, what would I ever do without you?" Chiyomo said to himself quietly, as the physical rush from the combat drugs washed down his head and face to cover his entire body. He flexed his muscles and feigned a couple of incredibly swift sword strokes. "This is as good as you have ever made." His thoughts trailed off as he heard his name being called by Quatir's amplified voice. Quatir motioned with his central finger to indicate Chiyomo's next challenge to the crowd. "Candidate 23, Sul Chai, champion of the Far East, master of Qi." He spoke with the demeanor of a bored servant who is trying to sound interested. His opponent, Candidate 2, Chiyomo, master samurai. Sul was completely unarmed. Chiyomo was buzzing with anticipation and chemically induced sensation, half regretting wasting a light blue for such a fool. Sul Chai wore only a multicolored set of Kevlar armor. "Even if it is bristling with force fields or rife with enchantment, it still has no chance of slowing my sword," thought Chiyomo. "Buffoon!" The two contending fighters assumed their positions in the arena. Chiyomo was ready to spring forth and unleash a deadly sequence of attacks as soon as the gong was sounded. Sul was a practitioner of a martial arts method known as dragon style. He focused the unseen energy of Qi through his body in a concentrated force that traveled as a shock wave through solid matter, causing grievous physical trauma. He was also quite an accomplished acrobat. The gong sounded again, initiating a furious spate of aggressive activity. Chiyomo took 2 swift steps forward and swung with intense ferocity and speed at Sul's legs. The martial artist had anticipated such a move and was leaping into the air as Chiyomo began to perform the stroke. He bounded forward and upward, performing an impressively high aerial somersault. Sul Chai cleared the seeking blade and executed a downward double kick on the top of the samurai's head. The kick was infused with Qi. Lines of force flowed destructively through Chiyomo's skull and down the length of his spine. Sul then leapt off, twisting in the air to face the now badly wounded samurai's back. As Chiyomo lay catching his breath, the crowd's cheers fading into a distant hum, his eyes locked onto his trusty Sentra katana. The weapon was slick with the blood of his opponent, its metallic sheen catching the harsh arena lights. The pain was intense, a throbbing reminder of the battle he had just won, but there was no time to relish his victory. He had to recover, and quickly. Chiyomo rolled onto his side, grimacing as sharp spikes of agony shot through his battered body. He fumbled in his haversack, his fingers shaking as they wrapped around the healing injection. He pressed the device against his arm, his eyes squeezing shut as the healing serum coursed through his veins. The relief was almost instant, a wave of soothing warmth washing over him, dulling the pain. As Chiyomo rested, the major hierarchy watched with interested eyes. They saw a warrior, battered yet unbroken, a potential ally in their fight against Samanarch. Unbeknownst to them, Siraj and Othon, having infiltrated the visitor's zone, were watching Chiyomo's recovery with their own plans in mind. Chiyomo's respite was short-lived. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. "The next battle is between Candidate 2, Chiyomo of the Southern Continent, and Candidate 31, Morval of Herzog." Chiyomo pushed himself off the ground, his gaze steely. The pain was still there, a dull throb in his stomach, but he was ready. He picked up his katana, the weapon feeling reassuringly solid in his grasp. As he walked towards the arena, his mind was already strategizing for the next duel.